I stared at the subject line of the email, the one that shattered what little was left of my dignity. Termination, final notice. No phone call, no explanation, just a PDF attachment from a generic HR address. The supermarket I'd worked security for, despite my PTSD and a prosthetic leg, had let me go without a word. I had collapsed during a fireworks display 3 days prior, my heart pounding, my body reacting to memories it didn't ask for. I had tried to explain. They didn't care. I slammed my laptop shut, my knuckles white. I wasn't angry they let me go. I was angry that I knew they would. The worst part? I'd been through worse, and it always came from the same place, home. I used to believe that duty meant something, that if you gave your life for others, they'd protect you when you fell. I gave everything to my family, but in return, they turned me into a bank account, then a burden. At 18, I enlisted. Not for glory, not even for myself. For them. For Mom and Dad. For my younger brother Eli. "You have to come back, Daniel," Eli had said at the station, clutching my hand too tightly. He was barely a freshman then. I ruffled his hair and made a promise I didn't realize would cost me limbs. My first tour, I sent 80% of my paycheck home. Mom said the car broke down. Dad needed new dress shoes. Eli's school books were expensive. I didn't question it. I just wired the money every single month. Years passed, missions blurred into dust and static. Then one day, in the middle of a convoy run, we hit an IED. Jake died instantly. I woke up a week later without my right leg. When I came home, I thought I'd be met with warmth, gratitude at least. Instead, I was met with sighs. "You're just here all day," my mom muttered as I tried to carry laundry up the stairs with crutches. My dad said it straight. "You used to be useful. Now all you do is sleep and shake." I still sent them my pension. I thought maybe they just needed time to adjust. Maybe they were hurting too. But the final blow came on Christmas Eve. I had used what little savings I had to buy gifts: a scarf for Mom, a watch for Dad, handmade at the local market. When they opened them, my mother gave a sarcastic laugh. "This is it?" she asked. "You think this makes up for the years we carried you?" I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Then my father leaned in, his voice like ice. "You're not the son we were proud of anymore. And frankly, we don't need a liability sitting here." I turned to Eli, now taller, stronger. His mouth was open, his fists clenched. But I shook my head. I didn't want him getting caught in it. That night I packed one bag, a change of clothes, my army photo, and a fading picture of Eli and me at the county fair. I didn't even tell them goodbye. I texted Eli, "I'm heading to Grandpa's. I'll be okay." He replied with one word, "I'm sorry." I didn't blame him. Not then, not now. It was only days later, sitting on a creaky bus bound for the outskirts of Oregon, that I opened social media for the first time in weeks. A friend had tagged me in something. There it was, my face, my name, on a veterans nonprofit fundraising flyer. From the battlefield to recovery, help heroes like Daniel Cross. I had never given them permission, never told my story, and yet there it was, packaged, branded, sold. I stared at the screen, rage boiling behind my eyes. They took everything, and now they want my story too? I didn't know who they were exactly, not yet, but someone had just lit a match in the wrong hive. If you've ever been overlooked after giving your all, type 1. The video had over 120,000 views, and I wasn't even in it. It was a flashy montage uploaded by a veterans nonprofit, slow-motion drone shots of flag-raising ceremonies, folded uniforms, and dramatic orchestral music. But what made my hands tremble wasn't the production value. It was the thumbnail, a cropped photo of me, dragging Jake's body through sand under gunfire. I'd never posted that, never shared it. They didn't just use my story, they used my trauma. "You ever give anyone permission to use that photo?" I asked Grandpa Henry, showing him my phone at the breakfast table. He looked down, squinting. "That's you?" I nodded. "Pulled from a military database, maybe, but the way they're using it, it's not okay." "Exploitation masked as patriotism," he muttered, shaking his head. "The worst kind." That's when I reached out to Travis Chen, a name I'd remembered from group therapy. A former Army sergeant turned HR director at the very nonprofit misusing my story. I emailed him with a link to the video and a short message. Did you approve this? The reply came 2 hours later. No, and you're not the only one they've done this to. But the bees kept me sane. Or maybe Grandpa did. He had me working slow and steady, replacing hive frames, inspecting queens, learning the balance of smoke and silence. I still woke up from time to time soaked in sweat, thinking I was back in that overturned Humvee. But each morning, Grandpa would leave a steaming mug of honey tea on my nightstand. No words, just quiet care. Bees don't panic, he once said as I fumbled clumsily with a buzzing frame. They just adjust. I started filming our daily work. Nothing fancy, just me and Grandpa moving slowly between the hives, sunlight filtering through pine trees, bees humming like they knew we were listening. I posted one 12-second clip to Instagram, then another. A week later, a message popped up. This is the most peaceful thing I've seen all month. Are you selling honey? I wasn't, but I could. That's when Eli reached out again, this time with a call. I saw your video, he said. It made the rounds at my office. People are obsessed with bees now, apparently. He paused. You really built this from scratch? Me and Grandpa, I said, mostly him. Well, if you want help scaling, I know a few things about logistics and digital branding. I didn't say yes immediately, but I didn't say no. Meanwhile, Travis and I exchanged encrypted emails. He sent me a series of internal memos from the nonprofit. Beth Sinclair, their PR head, had greenlit a campaign using injured veterans with strong visual stories. One email actually said, "If we frame it right, we don't need their permission. Public domain is powerful." I stared at that sentence so long the words stopped making sense. You want to go public? Travis asked on a call. Not yet, I replied. But I want everything, every name, every file, every lie. A few days later, I received a cease and desist email, cold, corporate, and full of legal jargon. Any attempt to defame organization name redacted will result in legal action. Please refrain from further inquiries. I showed it to Grandpa. He took one look and said, "They're afraid." Good, I muttered. They should be. That night, Eli arrived, not just for a visit, but with boxes of design mock-ups, sample jars, a rollout plan. We sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by labels, diagrams, and the quiet buzz from outside. You ever think you'd be selling honey? He asked, smiling. I thought I'd be dead by now, I replied. His smile faded. I should have stood up for you back then. You're here now, I said. That's what counts. But even as we built something real, I knew the storm wasn't over. Because when I checked the nonprofit site again the next morning, I found something new. Daniel Cross, A Hero's Journey. A fake blog. Quotes I'd never said. Testimonials that weren't mine. They weren't just using my face anymore. They were building a narrative. And that's when I realized they weren't done stealing my story. But neither was I done telling it, on my terms. If you've ever had someone twist your story for their own gain, type 2. The press article hit just before sunrise. Veteran's story fuels millions for nonprofit, but who owns the truth? My phone buzzed nonstop. Journalists, fellow veterans, even strangers tagging me under the now infamous image of me dragging Jake's body. But this time, the caption wasn't theirs. It was mine. My trauma is not your marketing. I had sent the files to the press at 3 a.m. Screenshots of the stolen footage, the internal memos Travis had risked his job to collect, and the fake blog quotes that turned me into a patriotic puppet. My inbox overflowed with both outrage and gratitude. The hive had stirred. You really did it, huh? Grandpa said, sipping his coffee on the porch as a local news van parked beside our honey stall. I nodded, barely holding down the anxiety bubbling in my stomach. They're coming at noon. I'm speaking. You sure you're ready for that? No, I admitted, but if I stay quiet, they win. He nodded solemnly. Then speak. Loud enough so the bees stop humming. By 11:30, the front field was full. Reporters with cameras, veterans holding signs that said, "We are not props," even Chloe and Eli standing shoulder to shoulder behind the new Coleman Honey sign. I stood in front of the crowd, heart pounding, prosthetic leg trembling slightly in the uneven grass. "My name is Daniel Cross," I began, voice shaky but rising, "and I am not a brand." I told them everything, how I came home broken, how my family tossed me aside, how a nonprofit stole my image without consent, and how a bee farm taught me more about loyalty than any boardroom ever had. The applause was hesitant at first, then it grew. People clapped not for pity, but for truth. Reporters rushed to interview Travis, who had flown in quietly that morning. Chloe coordinated the media crew, giving them folders I'd prepared with timelines, photos, and comparisons between real and fake narratives. Eli leaned over to whisper, "They're cornered now. They either confess or get exposed." I whispered back, "They already are." But just when I thought the day had peaked, a silver SUV pulled into the gravel path. My parents. Elaine stepped out in a pearl blazer, her makeup immaculate. Richard followed in his usual stiff suit. The cameras turned immediately. "Daniel!" My mother beamed, acting like we were in a Hallmark special. "We've come to support you, sweetheart." I froze. Grandpa stepped forward, but I raised a hand. "No. Let me." "You have some nerve," I said quietly but clearly, walking toward them. Richard smirked. "We gave you life. Don't forget that." "No," I said. "You gave me shame. You abandoned me when I needed you most. And now that I've built something real, you want a piece?" Elaine feigned tears. "Honey, we only ever wanted what was best." I pulled a folded paper from my pocket, the statement they had sent to a newspaper last month, claiming they had supported my journey back from war. I held it up to the cameras. "You wanted credit for something you never earned. This is over." My father's face hardened. "You're just a limping ex-soldier with a hobby farm. You think this circus lasts forever?" I smiled, not from amusement, but from freedom. "Maybe it won't, but I'll still be standing long after your reputation collapses." Grandpa stepped beside me. "You heard the man. Go." They turned, faces tight, and drove off without another word. That night, under the stars, Eli and I bottled honey late into the evening. Chloe sat nearby sketching ideas for a line of PTSD support kits with bee-themed affirmations. Grandpa napped on the porch, a jar of honey balanced beside him. I stood at the edge of the field, watching the hives glow under moonlight. I had lost a leg, a career, a family by blood, but I gained a purpose, a family by choice. They tried to take my voice. Instead, I gave it a microphone. If you've ever fought to reclaim your story, type 3.